The United States is defending airstrikes it carried out in Syria and Iraq over the weekend against militias aligned with Iran that both the Syrian and Iraqi governments are calling a violation of their sovereignty, and the militias are vowing revenge. The U.S. military said it targeted operational and weapons storage facilities at 2 locations in response to drone attacks by the group against U.S. personnel and facilities. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke to reporters in Rome on Monday.
We took necessary, appropriate, deliberate action that is designed to limit the risk of escalation, but also to send a clear and unambiguous deterrent message.
Iraqi militia groups aligned with Iran named 4 members of the Kataib Sayed al-Shuhada faction they said were killed in the attack on the Syria-Iraq border and vowed to retaliate. Iraq's government condemned the strikes against Iran-aligned fighters and said it would study all legal options to prevent such action from being repeated. Iran called on the U.S. to avoid creating crisis in the region. It was the second time this year President Joe Biden had ordered retaliatory strikes against Iran-backed militia. 2 anonymous U.S. officials told Reuters Iran-backed militias carried out at least 5 drone attacks against facilities used by the United States and coalition personnel in Iraq since April. The strikes come at a sensitive time between Washington and Tehran. Biden's administration has been looking to potentially revive the 2015 Iran nuclear deal. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki.
Certainly, we want to look to build the Iran deal beyond what it was in the past. We've been very clear about that, and that's part of the discussions and negotiations. And the next step would be the 7th round of discussions and negotiations. But I would say that as it relates to responding to attacks on our men and women serving, or threats, I should say, to our facilities that are in the region, that we don't see that on the same exact track.
Biden's critics say Iran cannot be trusted and point to the drone attacks as further evidence that Iran and its proxies will never accept a U.S. military presence in Iraq or Syria.
Inside Iraq and a third on the Syrian side. The U.S. said the attacks targeted the Kataib Hezbollah and Kataib Sayed al-Shuhada groups, which are both linked to Iran.
I directed last night's airstrikes targeting sites used by the Iranian-backed militia groups responsible for recent attacks on U.S. personnel in Iraq.
The Biden administration said the military action was in response.
All right, Shalom. This is Harwan Ban Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. I want to say Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Harakakodash, Ma'amath. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Shalom to you, Akim, and Nakwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the 4 corners of the earth. All right. All right, we have here, as you heard in the news clip, sorry about I'm trying to get my sound right in the background. It says here in the article of the Politico, it says the Middle East airstrikes inflame Democratic war powers debate. All right, you have the War Powers Act. All right. Now, what we're witnessing here is a divided. It's Satan divided against Satan. Congress against the president and his administration. And then you have the military industrial complex that's really pushing this whole war and pushing these attacks on Iran. All right, because now it says this. So it's causing a divide, and it's causing the Congress to want to declare war. That's what they want to do. They want to go ahead and declare war. But right now, Biden is using, or the military industrial complex is using the military to cause this war. All right, without declaring war. All right. But according to the War Powers Act, there's supposed to be a debate, and voters are supposed to get involved and vote for a war or not. You know. But this move that Biden did. Let me just read about it. It says amid President Joe Biden's latest operations on the Iraq-Syrian border, members of his party, they want answers. All right, so that's like a dictatorship, man. All right, and we all know Biden's incompetent. Now it says this Iraq-Syria border. So who is that? That's basically an attack on Iraqi soil, which the Iraqis and they all want the American soldiers and the American military to leave that area. They don't want them occupying no more. They call them occupiers. All right. In Syria, we already know America's at war with Syria through Israel. All right. And that's over there where the Valley of Kidron is, where Armageddon is going to jump off, which is going to be a regional war that's going to erupt into a world war, and that's going to be the end all be all. All right. Now it says, I'm gonna read a little bit from this article. It says President Joe Biden's weekend airstrikes against Iran-backed militias in Iraq and Syria are rankling Democrats frustrated by his decision to sidestep Congress. So we know Joe Biden can't dance, so when they say sidestep, he talking about something shady, something shisty, you know, being out of order. And so that's a division right there. All right. And notice they calling those people that they killed, they calling them Iran-backed militias. That's it. When really it was just an attack on Iran. All right. Or what you would call the Kurds, the Kurdish people. Now the Kurds, funny thing is, they were with America to go against ISIS, and now you have America backing ISIS and going against the Kurds. It's just crazy, man. All right. President Joe Biden's weekend airstrikes against Iran-backed militias in Iraq and Syria are rankling Democrats frustrated by his decision to sidestep Congress, a dynamic that promises to fuel the party's long-running push to rein in presidential war powers. See, that's their long-running push to rein in the War Powers Act. They want to just go ahead and declare war, or to say, hey, they're not going to push in for any airstrikes unless it's truly trying to defend the troops. And little rockets being shot off at the American bases, that's not really doing any too much damage, but it is causing them to never be able to let their guard down. Now, people forget the attacks that Trump did on with that Soleimani with Iran, all right, and a lot of different attacks on different bases over there. And so now when they respond and fight back, they say, "Hey, man, we gotta de-escalate by escalating. We gotta airstrike them, man. Let them know, stay in their place." That's what it is. It's a bully move. And what the Lord called Babylon or America the hammer of the earth. All right. It says Democratic lawmakers are in familiar territory over Biden's latest retaliatory airstrikes after criticizing him for striking the same Iranian proxies in the region earlier this year, without first seeking congressional approval. In both instances, the president cited his authority under Article 2, so he basically taking dictatorship of the Constitution, which allows him to take steps to protect U.S. service members in self-defense. So it's like a tit for tat, or you hit me first, I hit you back. But who really, we know how Esau played, man. Who really started it? It says, but some in Biden's party are sounding the alarm about possible abuse of that power, man. So he's abusing his power, which presidents of both parties have employed to circumvent Congress and legally justify various military operations. Wow, man. So legally, when they say legally justify it, that doesn't mean good, People hear that word legally, that doesn't make it a good thing or righteous. Legal just means contractual. So according to their contract or the Constitution, they can pull up Article 2 and take dictatorship and make a move to sidestep the Congress. The president can do that. So if they're a puppet, you already know, you know what I mean? The airstrikes come as lawmakers are already working to repeal the 2-decade-old authorizations for the use of military force in Iraq, an effort that Biden supports. The danger here is that you fall into a pattern of military escalation that becomes war without voters ever having a say. So they're basically about to start war, man. They're at war. They just haven't declared it. The safest bet for a president is to just claim broad Article 2 authority, and that's what they're doing. Congress has the power to authorize the use of military force in declarations of war. And the Senate Foreign Relations Committee is planning to hear from the administration more on these strikes, Menendez said in a Monday statement on the airstrike. So, hey, man, they could declare war soon, or they could be pushing for Iran or one of those countries over there to declare war. Now it says because they're going through proxies, and proxies is basically using rebel groups, all right, different tribal groups or whatever, or rebels, militias, using those to go against other countries or other militias. It's like a pre-war before the big war, all right, what they call a hot war. So it says, complicating matters further for the Biden administration, the Iraqi government condemns the strikes on its soil on Monday, with officials calling the attack a blatant violation of its sovereignty. What Biden Biden called Creepy Joe. He called these attacks. He called them necessary. He called them necessary. That's it. They use like legal terms, necessary. All right, but we know growing up, you hear the term necessary evil, right? That's all he's saying, man. It was a necessary evil that he did, a bad thing. But also it's a strike at the Congress by him saying it's necessary. He had to do it. See, it's division. All right. So that's all I might read on this right here, because it get kind of. I may place the article in the description. It says, I'm gonna read one more. But those explanations from the Pentagon might not be enough for Democrats who are already demanding classified briefings about the nature of the threat. Several already view the airstrikes as hostilities under the War Powers Act that thus require congressional approval. So that was a hostile act that they did. All right, basically saying they declare war. They said that was a message. It's basically a declaration of war. All right. It says here, the administration, talking about Biden, would be better off coming to Congress and asking for a debate on a declaration of war if they foresee a need to continue to go back and forth with Iranian proxy groups, Murphy said. All right, so they're doing a tit for tat back and forth. And they like, yo, why do that? And just go ahead and declare war. All right, I'm gonna read this chapter. What is verse? A couple of verses from Jeremiah 50. But this whole chapter is pretty good. It goes into the destruction of Babylon. All right, Jeremiah 50 and 22. A sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. All right, so that's here in this place called Babylon, or America, or United States, which is just really a corporation. All right, and they're not united at all, as you can see. It says, how is the sound of battle is in the land on both sides? That destruction is in this place, or they coming to this place, the threats, and prophecy of this place being destroyed. All right. It says, and of great destruction. But why? Because they're going around poking at the hornet's nest, messing with Iran, messing with Russia, messing with China. It says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? All right. So we're witnessing this place fall and be destroyed at the same time, trying to pull other countries under with it. But those countries are going to ultimately help in the downfall and the demise of this place called Babylon. It says, I have laid a snare for thee. So the Lord laid this trap. All right. They're going into perdition. They're pushing that boulder up the hill and it's going to roll back upon themselves. They're, they're digging a ditch that they're going to fall into themselves. All right. So America is known as the hammer of the whole earth. That's what they've been doing. But they're going to be cut asunder and broken. How is Babylon becoming desolation among the nations? Even among Iran, Iraq, and Syria, America's going to be destroyed over there. All their bases. It says, because the Lord said their troops are going to perish in the war. There's a lot of scripture we can get, and also where it speaks about 2 Ezra 13. We in a time where Yahushua is going to show up, but they got to push the chip first. Armageddon, World War III, and the missiles, man. So it says, the Lord is laying a trap for this place. And thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and art also caught, because thou hast striven against Yahweh. So the Lord got him right in the crosshairs, man. Got this place right in the crosshairs. And America doesn't even know it. All right. Yahweh have opened his armory. So they're going for the bait. You know, America going into these other countries, they're basically living out prophecy. And they're going for the bait after these smaller nations, going after the opportunity for this new world order. You know, trying to have a top seat in the new world order over China and Russia. And what's going to happen is it's going to be their demise. All right. Yahweh have opened his armory and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation. That's the ICBM missiles. For this is the work of the Lord Yahweh of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. Come against her from the uttermost borders. Open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing be left. So these nations are not going to leave anything left in this place. It's going to be nothing but a lake of fire. All right, slay all her bullocks. Let them go down to the slaughter. So when they go over there to war, the military, U.S. military, they're going to be slain in the slaughter of the Lord. Woe unto them, for their day is come, the time of their visitation. The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon to declare in Zion the vengeance of Yahweh our power, the vengeance of his temple. That's talking about the elect. Call together the archers against her, against Babylon. All ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about. So all these nations are preparing their nuclear arsenals, and they got their missiles pointed at America. That's like I think it was last year. Russia came out with that video showing missiles hitting Florida. You know, so they're showing you where they have their missiles targeted at. So they've all bent their bow, meaning prepared the missiles that the Lord gave them. It says camp against it round about, and that's what's happening now. You're hearing about Russian submarines and Iran sending ships over here to America. So they all coming together in an allegiance against this place, man. It says, call together the archers against Babylon, all you that bend the bow. So they just shooting little rockets right now, but they're gonna turn into ICBM missiles when it's a hot war and no longer a proxy. Camp against it round about. Let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work. And you see what she's done, what this place America has done all over the world in the name of demonocracy or Christianity, you know. And now they're saying it's because of necessity. It's a necessary evil. It says recompense her according to her work, man. So these nations are going to recompense this place according to their works. According to all that she have done, do unto her, for she have been proud against Yahweh, against the Holy One of Israel, right? This place is full of idolatry and the destruction of the children of Israel. Therefore, that's what we call the hammer of the earth. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith Yahweh. So we're in the time of these militaries being cut off. All right. These troops, everybody that's joining the military. Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, man. This place is proud. Esau, saith Yahweh, power of hosts, for thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee. And the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. And I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour around all about him. Whew, man, so it's going to be missiles hitting this place, man. Let me get this real quick. All right, because this is going to happen over there in the War of Armageddon, you know, which is going to lead up to a hot war, World War III. Revelation 19 and 17, but it's going to be a lot of dead bodies. And that's what scriptures say we got to prepare our minds for, man, because it's going to be a mass death out here, man. Scriptures say the slain of the Lord shall be many, you know, you know, you know all over the earth real soon. Revelation 19 and 17. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great power. And he's talking about real birds, you know. It's gonna be a lot of dead bodies out there. We were walking by today, me and my children. We saw the what is it, vulture? Big ass vulture, man. Just looking at it, I'm like, damn. Um, that's how they're gonna be feasting on them bodies out there, because that lets you know it's gonna be nobody there to clean them up. And I saw verse 18 that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. All right. And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. So it's talking about when Yahushua arrives, man. And according to 2nd Ezra 13, he's going to show up right in the midst of all those wars. All right, so that lets you know what times we're in.